بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Okay, so we'll talk today about an important subject called the default of things is permissibility. Means things are permissible in their default state, which means that when we want to do something, the default state of that thing we want to do in fiqh, in jurisprudence, is that it is permissible. Now, what is jurisprudence? We'll talk about that later, inshallah, in the practical dimension of Islam. We'll talk about a lot of things there. But what jurisprudence is, or what's fiqh is, the word fiqh, um, Fikh, kind of, it in Arabic it means to understand. فقه الشيء means understood it, comprehended it. Why did they call this science comprehension or understanding? Because you would understand how would you go by your life? Like, what are the permissible things? What are the prohibited things? What are the must-do things? And we take all that from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator. Allah created us and He set the rules. Allah set universal rules. Those universal rules we cannot like disobey, like gravity. You're always bound by gravity. Like, for example, if you want to get something into another thing, you need it to be smaller than that other thing. Some things in the universe, some universal rules. So we cannot disobey those. But there are some other rules called religious rules, means God wants you to choose if you obey or not. And by knowing them, you are knowing or learning about God's will in you as a person who has the mind, who has, comprehension, who is sane, who is grown up. And so there is a rule, as I said in the beginning, called the default of things is permissibility, means everything is permissible unless something comes in religion and say it is not permissible. So, for example, we eat food. We could have eaten everything, but because religion came and said, well, excluding pork, we do not eat pork. If the religion didn't come with, you know, with saying pork is prohibited, we would eat pork because Allah, the Creator, didn't say don't do that. So everything, the default of it, do I do it or not? It's permissible. You can't do everything unless the religion came to say no, this shouldn't be. You can't do it. You can't act upon it. You shouldn't have it. Then we say, okay, now we stop because the Creator said this is my limit. But otherwise, everything is open for us. Now, going from there, why this is an important rule? Because a lot of extreme people go to everything and say, well, like for example, in making dua or in standing in the prayer and putting where do you put your hand? Well, I can put my hand on my, you know, down in the middle, up. I mean, it's permissible. There is no discussion there. Like there is no, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ didn't say, oh, it's prohibited to do this or that. So the same thing like when you make dua, because I mean, those topics are really, really, really surface level, like very, very, very superficial minded people start talking about those, but I'm just bringing them to give you an example about um how superficial they are. Like The rule is that the default of things are permissibility. Everything is permissible. You want to do dua with your hands spread or put together, up or down. I mean, do whatever you want. It's just putting your hand in a posture. There is no prohibition in the religion that you can't do this or that. So why do those people actually talk about it? Why do those people actually start getting into the details of it? Well, as I said, because they're extreme. The religion came with ease, as we learned in the previous lessons. But those people have nothing to do with the actual religion itself. It is what they think that they are adding to the religion or think that the religion is. But the companions of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ didn't live their life like that at all. So they're extreme. They make the life extreme, they make religion extreme, and religion has nothing to do with this at all, and therefore they're extremists. They go by the superficial things, they go by the deep things, they go by, the actual belief, and they start making people, oh, you're a believer, you're a disbeliever, you're this, you're kafir, you're mushrik, you're. Who told you to judge people? Don't you know that belief is in the heart? Don't you know that everything is a believer person does, you should take with a good faith? Like even if a Muslim, for example, I mean there are even examples were talked about like in previous eras. A person said, if my Muslim brother was standing on a mountain and shouting, I am your highest Lord, and his beard is dripping alcohol, I would think about that person that he is reading the verse of the Quran saying, I am your highest Lord, Ana Rabbukum al-A'la, and a alcohol spilled on his beard. I wouldn't think that he is, disbelieving or claiming that he is the Lord, and I wouldn't think that he is drinking alcohol. I would have a good faith in my brother Muslim. And I mean, he's a believer. So why would I think bad about him? He doesn't say that I disbelieve. He said I believe. So why are you taking his actions in the wrong, uh, unfaithful manner? This means you have the problem. You're having the problem of bad thinking of people. So, but those extremist people think badly about people. Any whisper, anything a Muslim does, oh, you did shirk, you did this, you did Buddha. Okay? So this rule that the default of things is permissibility teaches us that not everything is a Buddha. Everything is permissible. Everything is what? Permissible. Not everything is, uh, you know, a bad thing. Everything Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates is permissible unless the religion comes and prohibits it. So, and we are in the month of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam's birthday. Some people say that celebrating the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad is Buddha, is a bad heresy. It's a heresy. It's a bad innovation. It is not. It is merely a permissible thing to do. Actually, quite the opposite. Allah said that we celebrate the mercy of Allah. And what is the mercy of Allah? What is the biggest mercy of Allah? The prophets, all of them. And most specifically, the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam. So celebrating, how do we celebrate? However you want. A person celebrates by fasting. Another person celebrates by doing a gathering of food and eating together. Another person celebrating by gathering and reading, for example, Quran. Another person celebrating by, you know, um, do like a trip. Another person celebrating by giving money. Another person celebrating by sleeping, okay? Just taking a day off. It depends. How do you celebrate something? It's your choice. It's a permissible thing. Allah did not put a how on it. Allah said, and celebrate the mercy of Allah. قل بفضل الله وبرحمته فبذلك فليفرحوا, and be happy with the mercy and the grants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So how are you happy? Every person expresses happiness in a different way. How do you express it? The religion never came and told you how to do it. It's your way, it's your expression. As long as you're not doing something wrong, as long as you are not drinking alcohol, as long as you are not harming people, as long as you are not like bringing like, I'm sorry about that, like prostitutes, then you're doing everything okay. How do you do it? It's permissible. It's your way, living life your way. But those people, those extreme people, wants people to live life on their way. Oh no, but they say, oh, the Prophet Muhammad didn't celebrate. Yeah, he expressed happiness his way. Well, the companions didn't celebrate. Yeah, they expressed happiness in their way. I mean, did you sacrifice your life for the Prophet? No. You're living here very happy, very, safe. They did everything possible to protect the Prophet. They did everything possible to make this religion reaches us. So they celebrated it their way. And they were with the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam. So they believe in him, they remember Allah, but we are in a time of um or of for how to say it, forgetfulness. Like we forget Allah, we forget the Prophet Muhammad, we forget that we have something very valuable. So making these kind of celebrations remind people of everything valuable we have, of the blessings of Allah, of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So by doing that, we are contributing to reminding people. Didn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, اذكروا remember Allah? Well, those celebrations remind us of Allah. Are they prohibited? No. There is nothing in religion prohibits them. And some extreme people, ignorant people, think that whatever the Prophet Muhammad didn't do, then we shouldn't be doing it. Then they are living the time of the Prophet, not the spirit and the the intent of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam. A huge, big rule in Islam, a big mindset in Islam called the default of things is permissibility. Never forget that. This is very, very big. And we see that the scholars and the knowledgeable people of Islam celebrates the Prophet Muhammad Muhammad's birthday. It's a celebration. Why do you want to prohibit celebration? So that's because they're extreme. The other thing, the other mindset we'll talk about today. So the first one was the default of things is permissibility. The second one is لا ينكر المختلف فيه إنما ينكر المتفق عليه. Um, the thing that is مختلف فيه means the thing that actually I think they call it condemnation. What do you call it in English? Like something that you have a dispute over, like um something you condemn, something you don't like. Let me think about phrasing it correctly because I don't want to give you a bad impression. لا ينكر المختلف فيه إنما ينكر المتفق عليه. So it's like saying um Do not deny what is disputed upon, but deny what has been agreed upon. Something like that, something along these lines. What does this rule means? What does this mindset means? It means that in Islam there are things that are, have been agreed upon by everybody. For example, alcohol, alcohol is agreed upon that it is prohibited. Adultery, it is agreed upon that it is prohibited. Five daily prayers, it's agreed upon that it's five. Um, for example, um, the Fajr prayer is two, the Dhuhr prayer is four, the Asr prayer is four, the Maghrib prayer is three, the Isha prayer is four. How you do wudu are in this way, and so on and so forth. There are things that are agreed upon. The scholars, when they studied with their knowledge and their correct ruling, when they studied the text, they saw that, well, it is agreed upon, it's like this. And in Islam, as long as something was agreed upon to be something, for example, alcohol to be prohibited, if a person comes and says, this agreed upon thing, I do not agree with it, then immediately that person become a disbeliever. If they know it is agreed upon, not if they're ignorant that it is an agreed upon thing. Why? Because this is the identity of Islam. This is what Allah forbids. So as the scholars understand that this something Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbids, and you come and say, well, no, I do not agree. It means you do not agree with Allah. So you immediately out of their religion. You immediately are, falsifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, and I'm saying that if a person knows it and means it, but if a person doesn't know it and doesn't mean it, then they're just ignorant. They just need to learn. So the agreed upon things by scholars are things that cannot be, disputed upon. And be aware of the trap that many people will do. They will go to something that is being disputed upon, that it is not an agreement upon, and they will say, oh, everybody, all the scholars agrees upon this. Well, no, wrong. You're wrong. You mean every scholar you follow agrees upon this. Every scholar that is Wahhabi or Salafi agrees upon this. That's a different matter. But we're talking about the entirety of the Muslim scholar um, committee. Okay, that's who agrees upon something and doesn't agree upon something. But there are other things that actually are disputed upon in the fiqh. Like what? Like for example, in Shafi'i madhab, in Shafi'i school of jurisprudence, they say that dog is impure. Therefore, if dog licks you, or if you touch the dog while the dog is kind of wet, then it's like you have touched, something that is impure, like for example, pee. So you need to wash your hand, and everything that dog touches is not pure. So that's in the Shafi'i madhab. While in the madhab of Imam Malik, they say no, the dog is pure, totally pure. If the dog licks you, if you touch the dog while the dog is wet, because impureness transfers with wetness. If something is dry, it doesn't transfer. Then the dog is pure and everything is perfect. There is nothing wrong there. You don't need to wash anything. You don't need to wash your hand. It's okay. I mean, they're not talking about diseases. If the dog, is sick or something, you need to wash your hand. They're talking about impurity. So that is something that has been disputed upon. It is not something that they agree upon, because this person or this scholar or this school of thought, with all the conditions and all the evidence and all the knowledge they have, which is a correct knowledge, they saw that the dog is pure, and the other one, with all the conditions and the knowledge and the evidence they have, they saw the dog is impure. So if you have a dog and you need the dog because they help you, because they're a service dog, because however, and the dog is there and you need it to be there, but now because like, you know, what would I do with impurity? Well, then go with the saying of the Imam Malik, and you would have no problem. Why? Because this matter was disputed upon. It is not something that everybody agrees that the dog is impure, and now you want to improvise because of one or two scholars. No. So, but all of the scholars agrees that if a dog licks from a plate, then you cannot eat from that plate unless you wash that plate 7 times and one of them with dirt. You would say, why? I would say, I don't have an idea why, but that's what the Prophet Muhammad told us to do if the dog licks it. Why? Some people say because there are some kind of bacteria that cannot be dissolved until you do that. Some other people say we don't know. That's what the Prophet of Allah said, so we do it the way he said it. But they all agreed upon that that's what should be done with that plate before start eating in it. So that's something has been agreed upon. But is it because it's impure? No. With the Imam Malik says no. With the Imam Shafi'i says yes. So we have something that was agreed upon. We have something that has been disputed upon. Now, what the rule says, do not deny what is disputed, but deny what is agreed upon. Okay? So a person would say, I follow Imam Shafi'i, I follow this, the dog is impure. Well, you can't say that because it's a matter that has been disputed upon. It is not something that has been agreed upon by the consensus of the scholars committee. So what you're saying is wrong. You want to narrow the Islam to a saying that you believe it is true, while the other saying it is also true, but just because you don't like it or you didn't hear about it, you want Islam to be only one opinion. It is not. There are things that has opinions because they can have many opinions, and things that cannot have many opinions because they are very clear or because they are very cut, like believe. Believe is very, very clear. You can't have opinions because believe has to do with the right, what is right. Like, does God exist or not? Well, no, there is no well. Does God exist or doesn't exist? Is God one or not? Does God need creation or doesn't need the creation? Does God actually need or not? Those are things that are cut. Like there are no dispute upon them at all. But regarding what should I do, there are things that are actually cut also, like alcohol, like how do you pray? How many prayers do we have during the day? And there are other things that actually have, they're not very clear. So now scientific opinions can go in and dig and understand. Some people would say, why? Because it's a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that you wouldn't have to have one opinion upon it, um, and be the religion be very difficult. Allah is giving you some space, some breathing room, and that's shouldn't be treated as something like something not good. It is a mercy. Being agreed upon something, it is powerful, it is cut, it is clear. But there are other things that Allah gave us the room to have, to dispute upon, which is what the religion is. That's therefore, if we go back to the hadith of the Prophet of our mother Aisha about the Prophet Muhammad, She said he was not put in between two decisions, but chose the easiest one among them if it wasn't a sin. There, that means, yes, there are choices. It's not only one choice. You can do this or that sometimes. Sometimes you can do this, and that. Four. Sometimes you can do seven. You have seven choices in something. And sometimes it is something that it is agreed upon. You can only do this. There's no other choice. So we talked today about both the default of things is permissibility, and we talked about do not deny what is disputed upon, but only deny what is has been agreed upon. So if a person comes and says, "Well, I do not agree with you that um, a Muslim woman can only marry a Muslim man," okay, you would say to that person, think whatever you want to think. It is something that has been agreed upon. It is something that it is cut. You cannot play with. That's your opinion. You can go to hell with it, literally, in the hereafter, because you are um like going out of consensus, and what you are doing is very wrong. It's like going to a diabetes patient and say, well, no, they can eat sugar. Well, no, they cannot eat sugar because that organ doesn't work anymore the way it is. And if you give them sugar, you're going to be killing them. It's not by opinion, it's by knowledge, it's by science. So just reminding you, practicing religion, it is not science, but understanding religion has to be by science, by scholars. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, لا تجتمع أمتي على ضلالة. My nation will not gather upon a wrong thing. So if the Prophet Muhammad says that, it means whenever the nation gathered upon something, the consensus of the scholars, the authentic scholars, what they will take decision by, it will not be wrong because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them their guidance because they go by scientifical rules and conditions. They cannot be wrong. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not let them down. Um, saying this, I think this is enough for today. Do you have any questions, guys?
What was that? My nation will not what?
My nation will not gather upon or will not. Hold on, let me say it in Arabic. لا تجتمع أمتي على ضلالة. My nation will not gather upon a wrong thing. Means the scholars, if they gather the authentic scholars and make a decision for something, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them guidance in that because they will not accept to be gathered upon a wrong thing. They will not accept to make a decision that it is against the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Thank you.
Yep. And it is, by the way, it is not because of um how can I say it? Like it is not because that they feel it. No. It is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when Allah revelated this religion, Allah taught us in the Quran. But I mean, because we're not scholars, we don't know those things. But if anybody, like everybody, can go and learn in Azhar, everybody. When you learn, you will see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the rules and the conditions for correct understanding. So when you follow those rules, you would achieve something. The same exact thing that Allah did with the universe. Allah, for example, give us I mean, what? The surface tension rule as a universal law. So if you follow it, your ship will float. If you don't, your ship will sink. Okay. So it is a rule. There are rules and conditions Allah put in the universe and in the mind. If you follow them, you will not go astray. That's why. So because they follow it, and because when the consensus of the scholars gather together, if somebody messes up, another person will remind him. So they all act like a beehive. They all work for one purpose, the purpose of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the purpose of the benefit of the humankind. Cool. Do you have any other questions? Okay. See you inshallah in next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.